Hello, everybody. It's 2 p.m. and we are here on the Meet stage. We're getting ready to talk with CEO Mark Huffman from Next Level Digital Marketing. Hey, Mark, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much.
Right on. I'm glad to have you here on the Meet stage. Take a minute to thank Meta and thank you for showing up. We're really interested in marketing. And boy, does this industry need some help with marketing. So come on over and let's talk about marketing innovations.
Great, great.
Right on. So let's just start off by defining what marketing innovation is.
Well, for us, right, marketing innovation is doing more within the restricted box, within a restricted space. Like, how can I not necessarily cut corners, but just understand what I can do in a restricted time?
And just to set the stage, would you just talk briefly about the restrictions that really regulate the industry in terms of marketing innovation?
Well, that's promoting anything that has to do with product and or sales. So how do I build brand was really the question. How do I, grow loyal followers? How do I really market if I can't talk about the widget that it is that I have for sale, no matter what that product or brand is?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell us about it. How does one market products and create loyalty?
The biggest piece for us and what we always try and resonate with is building lifestyle and education. Education builds trust. It's a human touch feel experience. And we're really talking about, when it comes to branding, it's, everyone has the same widget. Branding is really why buy your widget from me. So just like in any other business, it really talks to here's what we do in the community. Here is our merchandise, which is flashy. It's great. People love it. Could be those types of things. People know that you're a dispensary without saying, hey, we have marijuana for sale, right? They still know that you're that dispensary. So how can we talk about how we're giving back to the community, what we do differently, and really talk about the customer and not us so much? It's really about them and their experience.
And so how does both cannabis brands and cannabis dispensaries differentiate themselves?
The brand is going to be, that specific edible, that specific flower, or whatever it may be. And really, it's user content generated for the most part, in my opinion. What is it, since I can't make the claims and the medical claims and that type of thing, what is it my users are saying about the way that they feel, how they use medication and all that type of thing? There was a gummy brand out there that did a series on Instagram about, I think it was called How I Medicate, and it was anonymous video story, short stories. Their sales increased over 28% just through that education model. They weren't selling anything, they weren't talking about their brand specifically, but it was users and how they medicate and how they use different products and services.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you speak about trust and education, right? And lifestyle. Really,
Right.
trust and lifestyle are the two pillars that I always go to in terms of marketing, in terms of branding. What are the tools that are available to cannabis brands and cannabis dispensaries to differentiate themselves, to create loyalty and build trust?
Yeah, that's a great question. So social media is going to be your strongest tool. And we all feel like and think that we can't use social media. But again, if we just stick to education and we stick to lifestyle, we can definitely get the story out there. If we look at social media as our resume and our website is our billboard, it can definitely be more successful. Your website's going to be another piece. And really, data and analytics are going to be very useful in this space, owning your own data and using your own data. And there are some programmatic ads that we can run on targeted demographics. We all know we're familiar with geo-targeting. Now we go beyond geo-targeting and we're really in depth with, I think I was talking to you about those 60,000 data points on your cell phone. Your information is not private. I know what you bought, when you bought it, how much you spent, how frequent you go to the dispensary. I can then target that phone individually, and I can serve you digital ads and digital advertising. So it's another big one that really helps because I know that I am, marketing to a specific user.
And I'll say it again, that's super scary.
It is scary.
So just by a quick show of hands, are there any brand owners or dispensary owners listening in? And
Nice.
what are you, brand owner, dispensary owner? Brand owners. Okay. So let's just talk about all those data points that are available to us. And if we can, maybe pick the most important data points to either brand owners or dispensary owners so we could start to connect those dots and those data points and create a strategic marketing plan from that. Could you talk through that for a minute?
Yeah, I would say, website analytics are going to be a really strong one. And it may not just be your website, but it's search in general. What are the keywords people are looking for in my area? And there's plenty of tools out there that we can use to really drive, certain conversations about strains, certain conversations about products, right? I know that everyone in my area is specifically looking for a strawberry gummy that's under 5 milligrams. Well, now I can start to write that content on my website and drive all of that search traffic back to my site. And then what do I do with that data, right? So we can have a sign up that's give me your your email, give me a phone number. We can start SMS campaigns. We can start email campaigns through that. So that just having, capturing those little bits of data. And there's always this strange conversation of, well, I don't like text messages and I don't like emails and I hate to get inundated with that stuff. But if your customers are signing up for it, they want to hear from you.
Right.
So it's not really a spamming issue or an issue, personal issue that you have with SMS campaigns. These people want the information and they want to hear from you. So now we've got that data, and now can I do specific product drops or activations at a local dispensary or a couple local dispensaries to really give them that touch and feel. So I would say analytics is the biggest piece, and that's one way that you can kind of, go through that data and use it to your advantage to market. Search trends and web analytics are really great.
Okay. And would you talk just a moment about earned media, paid media, and our own property, and what we could do across those?
Yeah. So, nano influencers, micro influencers are really great in the industry. They've got a small following. They're local. Again, you're bringing a little bit of human touch into your brand, and people really trust that, which is really big. And I'm sorry, the rest of your question was, ask me that one more time. I lost track of that.
Well,
Sorry.
What was my question?
Right.
Yeah,
one of those days.
Just sort of really connecting the data points and what's most important. And even just in light of time, just to keep it really to the point, if there were 3 or 4 dots, if you will, that a dispensary owner or a brand owner could connect, what would those be? Obviously there's a website, you spoke about text and SMS, and I'm also glad you clarified that to a large extent the customer is interested. They're opting into a loyalty program, therefore you should push them content. But what are the 4 or 5 things that either a brand or a dispensary owner should focus on when they're building out an innovative marketing campaign?
Clarity, education, building that trust again, I think are the biggest things that are resonating in the markets that we're in, with the handful of brands and the 30 plus dispensaries that we're working with. Again, it's building community and showing that you're either giving back or that you're interested in the population or your client or your future client, right? The why should you buy from me part, I think is your biggest focus. And you can do that through, you can do that physically, you can do that digitally, everything. The other thing that I would really focus on and talk about is basket size and product differentiation for each customer, right? We're racing to the bottom and we need to stop doing that. Right. So how can I give a discount once you reach an average ticket price? How can I give you a promotion once you try 2 or 3 different product lines? I think our bud tenders do a really good job of education in the store, but how do we educate prior to that, getting them in the store? And a lot of brands are scared to co-op with dispensaries, but we really need to co-op with dispensaries. Even if it's, vertically integrated and most of your product lies in your dispensaries, you still have a wholesale outside of that to other dispensaries. A lot of brands don't want to co-op with some of the other dispensaries that they sell with because they're worried about their own dispensary. There is so much knowledge to be gained in working with the competition rather than running from it.
And the way you just laid that out too sounds to me more like MSOs perhaps versus, or vertically integrated regions versus lots of independent shops.
Absolutely, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm based in Seattle, and we have seen increased sales both for specific brands and at dispensaries when brands and dispensaries work together and drive them to the dispensary.
Yeah.
Where you can, we've seen that. Where it gets a little difficult is where MSOs run the markets and they don't necessarily want to share brands amongst themselves.
Absolutely. Right. We've seen that as well. So in Colorado, we're in that, declining phase, but you can see the people that are rising to the top, and they're differentiating because of that brand recognition, because of what it is that they're doing differently than the other dispensary down the street.
Right. So I want to ask you about trends. What trends are taking place in the cannabis community in terms of marketing and sales. Some of the things I've heard you say already is building trust, relating to lifestyle, creating community, working with influencers that, again, pull this all together and are often the glue within the community. In a weird way, we came up here to talk about marketing tech, right. and what we're coming back to are just basic human needs to feel part of a community.
Right.
So let's talk about next level digital marketing in that sense. How do you take this technology and make it feel human?
Oddly enough, AI. AI is going to answer a lot of questions for us, right? Our full service AI bud tenders, chatbots are really answering some personal questions, and we're humanizing that AI in order to do that. Now, most people do understand and they know that they're talking to AI, but they also know that they're one step away from the answer that they get. And the fact that we have that in place, people are not as afraid to ask the questions that they need answers to. Second is activations. I mean, it is a big piece when someone can touch, taste, feel, smell, and be able to ask a brand rep questions within the dispensary, or even at some type of event, right? And I think those are some of the bigger trends we're seeing. And then data, right, is owning your own data and getting away from these proprietary systems that are out there. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of great technology out there in this space, and it's important that we use and have some of it. But if you can get away from and own your own data, it's gold. There's so much that you can do with it. And then internal loyalty programs and point systems, and really getting people, the trend that we're trying to push is, again, basket size, and then how do I get someone to come back a second and a third time to buy my product and or at my dispensary. And then I've really got some loyalty built in once I can establish that repetitive business.
Right. Could you talk about, building a program? How might a brand or a dispensary build a program?
Like a loyalty program?
Yeah.
A lot of times we do it based on visits, right? That's a lot of the industry is saying, hey, come in, download my app or join my loyalty. We're going to give you 10% off.
How do you start to customize that?
I would say, hey, buy $75 worth of product and get your $10 off. Or buy these two specific products and or brands. We'll give, as a brand, I'll give the dispo owner a small discount on a certain stock percentage to be able to lead that and get a free package of X. Build value before you discredit yourself. Right? Everyone is running around saying that we've got the best product in town at the lowest rate. Right. You're not differentiating anything, right? your consumer doesn't want to know about THC levels. They want to know about value. They want to be educated on how can I use this product to. We definitely have stoners out there that just want to get high. That's great. But why don't we have a clearance section in the store if you want a discount? Right? Let's take some product that we're running end of life on, shelf life. Just start to think outside the box of just discounting everything on our shelf, right? This is premium for a reason. Here's the experience that you get, and that should come with a price.
And could you talk about, I guess, engaging with the consumer? So both a brand and a dispensary have the opportunity to engage with the consumer. If the dispensary understands that the consumer is making certain purchases of certain types of product, whether it's form factor or whether it's every other Friday they show up at the dispensary, how do you start to connect those dots like, hey, it's every other Friday, this person's probably coming back in, we push them an offer, or it's a holiday weekend, and we tie that into it, or there's a certain location, so we know it's a certain retail calendar day, they're in Colorado, they're in Denver, and it's about time they're coming to purchase again. How do we connect all that and actually engage?
Get them to come in on a Thursday, right? Get them to come in midweek instead of on a Friday. If you know they're coming in on a Friday and they're a repetitive business on repetitive customer on a Friday, why would I keep discounting them? Right. I may give them a spiff. I may give them an extra ticket into my, giveaway, whatever it may be. There's still value there, right? But how do I get them to come in on Monday and Friday? And those are the things, and I want you to be 6 months out when you're planning this stuff, right? And it's okay that you're not now, but let's start growing these sales, these promotions, these loss leaders, those types of things, win-back campaigns. How do I do abandoned cart campaigns? Those types of things. So I love that we want to target our regular customers. I just ran a report the other day and noticed that almost 45% of the sales in one of our dispos is loyalty customers. That's great. Now, how do I get those loyal customers to spend more and or see more value to come in more often? And we really need to start increasing that. They're there. They're going to come back. They're going to come back every Friday. So we know that you love this specific strain. We know that you love pre-rolls. Have you tried this topical? Have you tried this gummy? Have you tried this new drink? No, I haven't. Well, this might get you through the week.
Right.
So that by the time you're back on Friday, right, we can restock in your normal.
Right. And we've seen too, at a number of dispensaries, just upselling and cross-selling, where, for example, if they're buying pre-rolls, it's non-discrete consumption, but you can cross-sell them gummies so they can consume during the week or during work or wherever it is that they're living their lives. And it starts to fit in with their lifestyles where form factors make sense.
Right. Or educate them on wax or oil or whatever it may be. Scares the hell out of me. I don't want to touch that. But if I was educated properly on it, then I may consume that way.
Right. So let's reverse this for a moment. What are the biggest mistakes that dispensary and brand owners are making in terms of marketing?
Treating it like a consumer packaged good and in a non-regulated industry and trying to do things that you see your typical brands out there in the market do, I think is one of the biggest mistakes. We just simply can't, right? Because we are in a regulated industry. And the other one is talking about themselves and or their product instead of saying, this is what our product does for you, right? Without making claims. This is the look, feel, smell experience that you may get. And this is what Susie said it did for her sleep, right?
So again, taking consumers and their positive experiences and basically mirroring it back to the community, so it's not so salesy, so to speak. Okay, cool. how can brands and or dispensaries connect with next level digital marketing?
How can they connect with Next Level?
Yeah,
Oh.
and better understand the tools that are available to them.
Yeah.
Because I think, talking about education, I think it's brand owners and dispensary owners that don't always know the tools that are available to them.
Yeah. So thank you for that. It's our website is nxtleveldm.com. But we've also got a quick self-help guide on the do's and don'ts of marketing and digital marketing in a restricted space that we're giving out for free as well to help. Again, it's education, right? Whether there's something in it for us or not, I want people to succeed, so we want to make sure that we get that information in front of them as well. We should be able to download that on the website next week. Sorry, not this week, but it is coming.
And that's really what it's all about. When you mentioned that earlier, I thought that was really important, because what we often find is that various service companies are doing exactly what you're saying not to do, which is pitching their products without necessarily differentiating and not really talking about the benefits it brings to the customer.
Absolutely, right. And we literally start out at about $1,000 a month. We prove that return on your that ROI on your dollar, and then we can invest in marketing and move forward from there. Right? We're not coming in and trying to take the bank. It's just an education piece. We're going to see what works, what doesn't work. Once we find the plan, then we can move forward with it.
So tell us in I guess in the last few minutes, how can brands and dispensaries work together and leverage innovation and marketing innovation?
Yeah. So, we can take a brand and co-op with a dispo and, split the cost of the marketing and say, this is Nirvana gummies and you can get them at XYZ dispensary. Take that data that we have, get that information directly in front of your consumer that we know buys gummies, so we can, stream over sporting events now, full commercials. So if we can take that information, get directly in front of someone that we know consumes those, then we split the marketing cost. We're driving product sales and we're driving foot traffic into that dispensary. Now we can do that with the 15 dispensaries that we sell to and hit the market across that way too. So it's up to the dispensary to want to give the product discount and or offer. So that can be different, right, in every city and every community, and say, hey, I can go over here and get, $5 off. Over here is buy one, get one free. Maybe we run them at different times, right? With this dispensary, we'll do this month, this dispensary, we'll do the next month, just to push my brand and my product. The other one is, activations, in-store, co-op, demonstrations, tastings, turbine smells, anything in the community where you can do a citywide cleanup. And this is brought to you by this dispensary, this brand. As a dispo, we tend to take that on and all of it on and never think outside the box. But if you look at HVAC, for instance, these guys are driven around in wrapped trucks. Train wrapped those trucks, not the HVAC company, right? It's their supplier that paid for that whole thing to make sure that they were on it. Well, we can do that same thing in restricted markets as well, and really start to work together.
Interesting. You had mentioned about cannabis ads on streaming platforms earlier. So you could be watching a major league sports game and get a pushed ad to you. Could you talk about that? Because that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's fairly new to market. It's kind of data as a service now, so we can get real-time data up to 10 days on search and intent. I can tell you everyone that's been looking for plywood in the last 7 days in this city, and then serve them direct ads. I'll have their device ID, name, address, phone number, so on, credit score, right, you name it. And then once we have that device ID and you walk into your house, then I pick up all the smart devices in your home. So now, again, I know that you're of age, I know that you are a consumer, and then I can start to show ads across those platforms. So we own some of that data and some of those advertising spaces. So now we can stream across TV in general, but sporting events, we found, who watches what specific events in my city, right? NHL, NFL, whatever it may be, and then put those ads in front of that.
That's interesting. I recently saw stats in terms of the different major leagues and those that watch the games and who's more inclined to consume cannabis, which is pretty interesting in terms of data, and then even more interesting in terms of how you leverage it.
Yeah, for sure.
So, as we wind down here, what advice would you give to brand owners and dispensary owners in terms of where they can start and really how they can build programs that engage with consumers?
I would say just take it slow, right? Don't try and come up with catchphrases and tactics and all of those neat things. Clarity is really big, transparency. And then again, it's education and trust, really is, into the market.
Very cool. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
We're going to take a minute. If anybody has any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Don't make them hard questions.
Definitely basic questions. First of all, thank you for this. Very illuminating. I have been treating my product like a consumer packaged good. Maybe I need to think about it differently, but do you have any advice or tips for us solopreneurs or us small businesses starting out about how to market on like a meta platform on Facebook or on Instagram or whatnot without getting banned again? And I don't know, tactics or keywords or things to avoid. I'm not sure.
I would start with consumer experience. Right? They're not going to get banned. You're going to get banned. So we're not talking about your products. We're not talking about pricing. We're talking about what sets you different from the rest of that industry, right? We were walking the show, and someone on my sales team is asking all of these vape manufacturers, what sets you apart from the guy next door, right? There's tons of them, and there's some great product. I'm not saying there isn't, but what sets you apart? And that you can talk about all day. Flavor profiles, terpenes, experience, that type of thing. And then you're going to start building that loyal following to go, hey, I want to feel that. I want to see that. I want to experience that. And then they're going to try that product. And then, right? Hopefully that answered your question. Yeah.
And I would just add to that, it comes back to education and lifestyle with no sales and no consumption.
Yeah.
And for some reason, cannabis brand owners just don't seem to get that, and that's why they keep on getting their accounts banned over and over again. Yeah, I'm right there with you, right? But I'm amazed sometimes the stuff I see on Instagram, for example, and then it's just a matter of days before I see the post on LinkedIn about the account getting exactly.
So I think I'm going to push you a little on the CPG thing, because I think when you walk into a store, all the packaging is a sea of the same. And what you can learn from CPG is how do you stand out and how do you actually rise above, right? So I would like, let's have a little bit of a debate on CPG,
Sure.
Because I think there's a lot to learn. As we look to go national, right? We have to start thinking a little bit differently in terms of, will my brand if I'm just in Michigan, how does my brand go from that to New York and then from New York to California? CPG, there's a lot to learn there. Obviously, I have a CPG background. So I guess I want to pinpoint you more on that, because
sure.
I think there's a great debate there. But I would say, like, when I first came in and saw the stores, I was like, holy shit. I'm like, it's a sea of the same. And it's like, rise above that and see when you walk into a grocery store, why do you pick Frosted Flakes over Lucky Charms? What is drawing you to it? Because the consumer experience isn't only about the education you get there. It's also about, like, you have the bud tender educating you. But when you walk in, you're like, why does that packaging have a 4 on it? Because it's a 4-grammer, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, just a little more discussion there.
Great question. So what we're talking about, though, is branding versus marketing. I can't market like a CPG. But when it comes to branding, you're right. Your logo, your packaging, it needs to be brilliant. It needs to be beautiful. It needs to be identified with whatever your storyline is behind your brand. because I've just sold that story through education and experience. You're going to see it, and it's going to resonate the minute you see it on the shelf. So I guess to clarify that, what I'm speaking to is we can't market like it's a CPG because we're in a restricted space. And so, you see, Kit Kat or anyone else displaying their product and saying, hey, it's Halloween and we have this new thing, and we can't do that, right? So you hit the nail on the head, right? Because a lot of people feel like that's the other side, is that I've got this beautiful packaging and everyone's going to want it. We're not done branding. Where's my story? Where's my why? Where's my how? Who am I catering to? What is it that I'm really delivering? Am I just delivering another gummy? We can't, right? We've got to stand out in some way, shape, and form. So you are correct in that, and great point. Great point.
And just to add to that too, I always start off with almost every presentation when I talk about branding and brands, right? A brand is a promise and the ability to consistently deliver on that promise. It doesn't matter if it's a luxury brand or a value brand. And to be honest, it doesn't even matter if it's real or perceived, the value, right? I know you get that already. So here we are in the cannabis industry where states vary, everything's fragmented. So the one brand that's, let's say in Massachusetts, which is 5 megs per serving, goes to Washington State, and it's 10 megs per serving, right? And that's just one super simple example where you start to see the breakdown of consistency and the fragmentation and the packaging, which varies from state to state. So we're all working here with one hand tied behind our back, right? I can't wait for us to get to the point where we could actually build a consistent brand and deliver it. And sure, there are always regional nuances. There's Mexican Coke, or there's ketchup and mustard on McDonald's in certain states and not in others. And that's cool. But to build that brand and to service that, that life and that loyalty and support that's what, I guess that's secondary. We need to get there as well as what's popping off the shelves for us.
And that's a great point too, right? We'll go back to data. And so we're in Colorado Springs, high tourism, 5 military bases, whatever it may be. And now I can track you and whether or not you came to the Springs, and then go, okay, where do you live? And now all of a sudden I've got a market in Massachusetts I didn't even know I had, that experiences my brand on a regular basis. Now I can break into that industry and then tell the story of, we're regulated a little bit differently here. So it's not exactly what you wanted in Colorado, but we're here in Massachusetts now and can service that. Yeah.
I hope that did I get to? Okay, cool.
Good. One more. Sorry. You're good.
All right, earlier you were talking about win-back campaigns. I recently started trying to tap into auto connects and win-back campaigns more. What do you feel like are maybe 2 really successful auto connect or win-back campaigns?
So first we need to know, right? I saw a dispensary that was doing 30-day win-backs, but the customers are only shopping every 30 days. We're not really winning them back. They're regular customers. So we need to go 35 to 40 for that 30-day win-back campaign. So understand that data point and who's really coming back and not coming back. A successful win-back campaign, again, I would put a percentage on it and or a cart value to percentage, right? If my average ticket price is $55, I want to get my basket size up to 65 with 10%, right? Or something like that. But it needs to be deeper. The longevity you go, 120 days, 380 days, you're looking at BOGOs, like you can't refuse. We call those Godfather offers. You'd be dumb to not come back and pick this up and do it, and then give them that experience in store all over again.
Right on. Well, Mark, would you once again repeat where people could connect with you? I think the educational materials that you're putting out in a week or so are really right up everybody's alley. Do you have a question?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's NXT for next level, DM for digital marketing. NXTleveldm.com. And I've got a card too. If you want that afterwards, I can definitely give you a card. That'll help.
Cool. And if anybody has any other questions, we're around. Take advantage of it because we're here only once a year, and it's an opportunity to connect. So if you don't, it's a missed opportunity. Mark, thanks so much for joining us
Thank you so
on the
much.
MITA stage. A big thanks to MITA, the
Yes.
Marijuana Industry Trade Association, and MJ Biz. Keep coming back as we normalize the industry and push forward. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.